In this video, I'm going to provide a simple guide to starting your own online reselling business in 6 simple steps based on my experience creating a business that generated $11,000 in revenue. Becoming an online reseller takes effort, but the fundamentals of building a profitable store can be learned by anyone. My name is Damien, the owner of the eBay store Stop F10. Let's get started. The first step is to make clear why you want to resell. Is this something you want to do as a hobby, a full-time business, or a side business to generate extra income? My store exists as a side business designed to cover my basic living expenses, meaning I won't be reliant on a corporate 9-to-5 for this. It also proves to me that starting my own business is possible and that I can exit the corporate world when the time is right. If you're treating this as something other than a hobby, you need to define how much money you want to make in a month or your chosen period. My immediate goal is to reach $500 a month in profit, although I'd really like to be making $2,500, which would cover my basic living expenses aside from rent. So once you have this dollar figure, you need to decide what the focus of your store will be. Are you going to be selling broadly, or are you going to focus on items in specific niches, for example, men's clothing? Selling broadly might be a good option if you're just starting out and want to learn how to buy and sell for a profit, and some people enjoy the variety that that approach provides. If you're going to do this, you'll probably spend a lot of time researching the sale price of items because you'll often be dealing with new things. If you're going to sell in particular niches, you'll need to spend more time researching the products in that niche, such as the different brands, the product ranges, and special attributes. If you're dealing with cameras, you might have DSLRs, mirrorless, and film cameras. This might be a good option if you're passionate about a particular niche or already have experience within the niche. In reality, sellers can operate in a mix of these two extremes. I'm more of a niche seller because I focus on cameras, lenses, and accessories, but I also sell scientific calculators when they're in demand, and I've also purchased some teleconferencing equipment about 2 months ago. As opportunities arise, I also consider what other niches I can explore. But regardless of whatever you choose to do, you need to find products at prices low enough to sell for a profit. So step 3 is sourcing the items that you're going to be selling to customers. There are a number of places you can do this, both in person and online. If you're going to be sourcing in person, a good place to start might be garage sales, asking family and friends for items they don't want, or buying from businesses that are offloading bulk stock. At garage sales, you'll likely find items selling at low prices because the goal is to get rid of old items before moving house or to clear up space. Your family and friends might also sell you stuff for lower prices or give them away for free because they like you. Businesses offloading bulk stock might be in financial trouble or insolvent, so they need to get rid of things to balance the books or pay creditors. That might compel them to reduce prices to get the money they need, which you can actually help them with. This one might take a bit more effort than the other two, and maybe some expertise depending on the products you're buying. If you're sourcing online, you could also try online platforms like Facebook Marketplace and Gumtree. What's great about them is the amount of items you can find is far greater than if you were to look in person. You also aren't confined to your local area. You can source items from across Australia, and they might even be cheaper than where you are. The downside is that listing items is easy, so people tend to forget about them. They might also have sold an item and not updated the listing, so you only find out once you've inquired about it. But probably the biggest issue is scammers. Not just because they're around, but a lot of people are scared to accept online payment because of them, so that's going to cause you to lose access to great deals. You might also want to consider the relationship you want to have with your suppliers. You can have one-off transactions, but it can make it harder to list items consistently, because selling platforms do actually care about this in their algorithms. If you want a sustainable supply of items for your business, developing longer-term relationships could help once you've developed trust with the person you're buying from. This is something I've been thinking about more seriously because I want to list at least one new item in my store per day. So now that you've bought items to sell, you need an online platform to show them to buyers and make the sale. The most straightforward way to do this is to join an e-commerce platform such as eBay, Amazon, Facebook Marketplace, or Poshmark. Personally, I sell on eBay for most goods and then use Marketplace for the odd transaction. But Marketplace does take up a lot of time with inquiries. When deciding on the platforms to use, here are a few questions worth asking. 1. Where is your buyer shopping? You might not understand much about your customer yet, but researching the focus of a platform might actually help. So, for example, eBay is well known for fashion and electronics, while Marketplace is known for selling anything in a local area. The The second is, how long does it take for one of your products to typically sell on the platform, and how much will it sell for? Knowing these helps you understand when you get your money back and how much to expect. An item might take about 8 weeks to sell on Facebook Marketplace, and you might make $100 profit, but it might take 2 weeks to sell on eBay for $70 profit. Which one's better? I'd say the second one, because the money gets back quicker and then you can reinvest it into more sales. What are the sales formats available? On eBay, you'll find fixed price sales and auctions. And while a fixed price sale might be more predictable, auctions have more potential upside but carry a bit more risk. It might be a good idea to experiment based on the previous sales history of your product or similar products. I mainly use fixed price sale in my store, but I've scheduled a few auctions to see what happens. So question 4 is, how do you become successful on a selling platform? Each online platform has certain criteria that affect the reach of your listings, so you need to figure out what that platform cares about to fit your business around that. On eBay, one thing that impacts listings, as I said before, is how often you list. Some advice from a selling group I joined was to try and list every day, which can be challenging if you're selling high value items, which is why it makes sense to stock a lot of cheaper items when you start. I would also expect that to be true for other marketplaces, but it might be worth investigating for yourself. Fifth is, how much does it cost to use the platform? So you might have to pay fees such as a transaction fee based on the percentage of a sale, listing fees, fees to the payment provider, and fees to unlock extra features for your store. So on eBay, the transaction fee I pay on a camera is about 8% and 11% for lenses. Facebook Marketplace, on the other hand, is entirely free, but the catch is that Mark Zuckerberg gets to look over your shoulder. Also, there's nothing stopping you from setting up your own online store with a tool like WordPress or Shopify, but you need to find a way to bring people there. You can do that through online advertising or an established social media presence. And this might actually work well if you have an engaged online following. Speaking of an engaged online following, if you find this video helpful, I'd appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel. I'm still trying to figure out my niche and how to get better at making videos, but any support or feedback is appreciated. So now that you can source items and sell them, you need to figure out how they're going to get to your customer. There are 3 delivery options that typically exist: postage, pickup, and delivery. The key things to consider when choosing a delivery option is what the buyer expects, the costs involved, and the time involved. So for smaller items, postage is probably the best solution because it's convenient to buyers, doesn't take too much time once you get used to it, and you can pass on the cost to the buyer. That said, customers might get a bit turned off if the cost is too high. And in the case of eBay, they'll charge their transaction fee on the sale price plus postage, so that's going to impact your profit margin. Offering pickup or delivery isn't normally worth your time and money, but it might work if you're just starting or have a physical store or deal in large goods like furniture. Either way, you should try and include it in your price or charge a separate fee. One final thing is to always get a receipt from your buyer when you do an online bank transfer. Don't just trust they'll pay you, get proof of it. So going back to postage, here are a few things you'll need to consider when offering it: the provider, pricing models, shipping locations, and extras. The most well-known provider is Australia Post, so you might want to start with them. There are alternatives such as Resell, but I'll just discuss AusPost in this video because they're the one that I currently use and that many people use. Next up is pricing models, which typically come in 2 types: calculated and flat rate. The price for calculated postage changes based on the size and weight of an item. Flat rate postage is fixed and is based on the specific packaging you choose, such as a small box or medium satchel with a maximum weight of 5 kilos. This option helps keep prices predictable, and it's the option I use. Both options allow you to use a standard service and an express service, which gets there quicker. If your customer doesn't need express postage, then I wouldn't worry about it. Then there are shipping locations. Do you just want to ship across Australia or internationally? Shipping to international locations can be a great way to expand your potential number of buyers, but it's more expensive and it's only calculated by size and weight. There are also far more options than just standard or express. I'll leave the link in the description if you want to know more. You might want to avoid international shipping until you get some experience and know if there is demand for your products in other countries. A lot of eBay customers are based in the United States, so that's the only other country I ship to by default. You don't have to ship to every country in the world, just those that make sense for your business. Then you have extras, specifically signature on delivery and damage protection. Signature on delivery is exactly what it says. It makes sure the parcel gets signed before it's received, giving an added layer of assurance. That said, some customers can choose to waive that signature requirement with Australia Post. Then we have extra damage protection, which covers you if you incur loss or damage in the postal service of more than $100. You already get $100 worth of cover by default, and this isn't really something I generally use, but the option is there. I'll leave a link in the description. Finally, the last step is to list your items in your online store. You'll normally add a title, photos, a description, delivery options, payment policies, and return policies. In addition to that, you'll probably fill out a set of attributes that describe your item and help your buyer find it. Remember, a descriptive title and good quality photographs can make your item more appealing to buyers, making you look more professional and potentially increasing the amount you can sell the item. To see what a good listing looks like, look at the sales history of your items or similar items to see what their listings look like. Listings that sold for the highest price might give clues to why customers will pay more. Like I said before, consistent listing on eBay impacts how much reach you get on the platform. So you might want to photograph a batch of items, then list that same batch and have them scheduled to appear over a period of time. The key is to stay consistent, so if you only have enough stock to list once a day, then do that and work your way up. So that concludes the steps you need to start an online reselling store. Although I've described these as a set of steps, they're really a set of activities that your business carries out and that you repeat and improve over time. This is really the tip of the iceberg. There are many other activities to consider, but I think we've covered enough for today. Thanks so much for watching and have a great day.